G'day guys, how you doing? It's the Kiwi, back with another video. It's been a little while, hasn't it? It's about 2 months now. Just been processing stuff. There's been a lot going on over the last couple of months, if you haven't already noticed. And a lot of what I have talked about in previous videos is actually now starting to play out, like in this world. And believe it or not, this is just the beginning. First and foremost, to the people that have reached out to me, asking me how I'm doing and all that sort of stuff. Thank you. I appreciate it, sincerely. But yeah, everything's okay. Everything's quite okay. Had some oral surgery. Had to have my first tooth pulled, which was a real... that wasn't fun in any way, shape or form. But anyway, outside of that, everything's still the same. I've had a number of people ask me questions in the comment section of other videos in regards to a lot of the stuff that's going on right now. And in all honesty, I'm trying to put the least amount of attention towards all this negative stuff as I possibly can, and I really truly mean that. I find what is going on right now to be extremely negative and toxic, to be quite honest with you. It's all a massive distraction to literally keep you focused on stuff that the supposed power players, and they're not the power players anymore. You know, the reality is these guys are actually losing the game right now. The supposed Illuminati, they're starting to struggle. That's why they're throwing all this stuff at us in any way, shape or form. Just so you know, and this is what I mean by I've been processing stuff. What I'm starting to do now is I am actually looking at the world through a completely different set of eyes. The world that I'm looking at, even though it looks the same, is the same. However, how I process what is going on now in this world, I process in regards to this new timeline that we're living in now. I don't process stuff like the old timeline. I'm studying and learning as much as I possibly can about what we would call the age of Aquarius. And we're in this timeline now for the next, it's about 2,150 something odd years now. These timelines all work out to be roughly around 2,160 years, and we're already 12 years into it. So, you know, next 2,148 years or so is, you know, where we're at right now. So the reality of the situation is we're already 12, 13 years into this new timeline. So that's how I process this stuff. I look at it through that lens. And at a far more conscious level also, I might add. So I don't like putting any real energy towards this negative stuff. I've been warning you that this stuff would be coming down the pipeline. And the reason why it's coming down the pipeline is, like I said, the power players themselves, they're losing their grip on the world. They don't have the power anymore that they used to have in any way, shape or form. So they're, for want of a better term, they're going for the throat right now. They're trying to pull off as much stupidity and buffoonery as they can possibly get away with. The other thing that I look at is I look at, say, the genocide that's going on, that sort of stuff. Because this timeline is about truth. It's even said biblically, I've talked about this before, you know, the man with the watery pail will bring truth upon this earth, which is the age of Aquarius, okay? So I look at everything in regards to bringing truth into the world. And for truth to really come into people's lives, people have to be shaken. They have to be shuddered. They have to be shocked to their core, their soul. And I know this very well. I've had it happen to me many, many times over the last 30 years. And I sincerely mean that. And it's no fun in any way, shape, or form. You know, I've certainly had my fair share of absolute horrific experiences, but nothing even remotely compared to what's been going on in the Middle East. But yet, this stuff is rattling people. It's shaking people. It's like, what are we looking at here? You know, this is 2025. This should not be happening. And you're right, it shouldn't be happening. But that's the extent that these players have to go to get people's attention today. And we have to look at where we put our attention. Because where our attention goes, our energy flows. Okay? You have to be so aware today that everything that you see before you is literally being played out in here. This is where it's manufactured. Even though you think this three-dimensional world, and it's always going to be a three-dimensional world, it's never going to be a 5D world, 10, 12, 300-degree world. It's never going to be that. This realm is a three-dimensional realm, period. It's always going to stay that way. Sorry if that upsets you, offends you. That's the facts. The reality is everything that you see before you is actually manufactured in here. Okay, remember in my near-death video when I died, I said when I left my body, I ended up in just this inky black abyss. And the only thing that was around me was my parents' house down to my left. Okay? So, what that inky black is, it is what is in our mind being projected onto that screen. I'm not joking. I'm not kidding. I know it's hard to fathom, but that is literally what it is. That is all we are capable of doing. We are only capable of projecting out a three-dimensional reality. End of story. Now, the interesting thing is that via quantum physics, quantum science, quantum mechanics, we are a field of energy. This here, your body, you watching this video, everything that you are is a field of energy. All right? You are already your soul's consciousness. If you want to check this out, pause the video, go to your restroom, bathroom, go to a mirror, and stare into the black abyss of your pupils. See how long you can look into that deep, dark abyss. For some of you, it might be a really uncomfortable feeling, okay? But here's the reality, is that is who you are. You are this infinite field of consciousness. This is already every single answer you could ever possibly wish to have, wish to know, wish to learn about how all this works, depending on how many reincarnated lives you've had. All the information is already inside of you. So the reality is you're not going to ascend in consciousness. You can't ascend in consciousness because the consciousness is already there. This is dogma. This whole ascension stuff is pure lies and pure dogma. It's actually dogma to keep you stuck in what they call spiritual bypass. Because it's not about a spiritual awakening, because you're already a spiritually conscious being as you sit right there. As I sit right here. We are what we are. So, it's about having your ego, your mind. The mind creates this world before us. That is your ego. It becomes programmed with all this BS, all this dogma, all these false beliefs and ideologies and everything like that. So what has to happen for you to become a conscious or more conscious human being, to actually start learning about who you are as an individual, you have to start breaking down that ego. you have to start really examining everything that you hear, everything you believe, everything. You have to completely start looking at your life through the lens of everything you know and believe is BS. Everything. You have to clean the slate in this new timeline and start all over again. End of story. And for some people, that's going to be really, really difficult. I mean, my roommate, he's 72 years of age. Trying to get him to look at stuff through slightly different eyes he's just shut down. He has a real hard time looking at certain things through a new lens, through an open-minded lens. So that is literally why you don't want to focus in on this negative stuff. You don't want to focus in on all the war and the carnage and the genocide and all that sort of stuff, because it's specifically there to keep you in that ego-based state, not a conscious state. They don't want you diving down deep into yourself. They want to keep you up in here. They do not want your ego to become fractured, to slowly but surely dissolve it. You can't destroy the ego. You can't, people talk about an ego death. That's also a fallacy in many, many ways, because we still need the ego to actually operate in this world, to get by, because the mind, the ego, creates this stuff before us. But it is the process of letting the ego control everything. And that's what I was saying. I've said in a video a while back about you becoming a unified field of consciousness. And that is where you have your mind, your ego, the body, the physical temple. This is your temple, the human body. And then the soul, which is your connection to the combined consciousness and the connection that we have. It's a very thin thread that connects all of us together and also connects us to, the Creator, the Father. So it's a matter of, you have to be very, very aware of what you're putting your attention to. Okay? So if there's negative stuff, you have to ask yourself, why is this stuff attracting me to this stuff? Why am I attracted to this hate? Why am I attracted to this genocide? Why am I getting angry over another group of people in a country that's thousands of miles away from us? We have to become more aware of where we put our energy. That's why people are feeling so exhausted today. They're feeling absolutely exhausted. I'm one of them. And we're feeling exhausted because our consciousness is being utilized to manufacture this world around us. And this world was created by manipulating millions and billions of people's consciousness by a select small group of people to manifest the world how they wanted it, not how you wanted it. So what's happening is you've been creating or been a co-creator in a world that we're not in alignment with. We don't, the reality is we don't want to be working 40 hours a week. A lot of us don't need to have all this materialistic stuff. We don't need all this stuff. We don't have to have all this money. We don't have to have, all this stuff, because it takes energy. It takes our soul's energy to create that stuff. And that's why people are feeling exhausted. That's why people are losing their minds. That's why people are getting angry, because they're living a lie. They're living the life that they really shouldn't be living, but their ego doesn't want to let go of this stuff from the old timeline. They want to hold on to this old timeline. They're not willing to move into the new timeline. And the new timeline genuinely is about your consciousness, because that's what our lives are. I said in a video a while back, you know, your life is your truth, and your life is a journey to that truth. And the truth is, there's going to be very few people on this planet right now that are even remote, especially in Western society, that are even remotely willing to go down that path. I mean, that's the God's honest truth, sincerely. So, you know, the one thing I can genuinely say, take it for what it is, but sincerely, the more you can research and study this new timeline, this new age that we're in, you know, listen to some videos on YouTube, read some books on it, etc. I'm not going to recommend anything. And this is the reason why I very rarely leave links, and I very rarely recommend anything, is I understand intrinsically that each and every human being out there has their own path. And you will, because of your consciousness, who you are, you will gravitate towards certain things that will resonate with you. There'll be stuff that, I don't really like that, but hey, this over here, this makes sense to me. I get this. Now, what you might resonate with is going to be something that I might not resonate with. It will be on the same subject, but just how the presenter presents it, etc., doesn't necessarily mean that everybody is going to like the same stuff. It just doesn't work that way. So I'm not interested in putting any energy into any of the negative stuff. What I am interested in putting energy into is moving everything forward in my world. Not in a positive, new age, woo-woo manner, but in a manner that will help bring truth into your life, and more truth and knowledge, and becoming more aware of who I am, consciously moving forward. It's an amazing timeline. It's a beautiful timeline if you can utilize it for your own well-being, for your own personal growth. So that's pretty much the video. I'm heading up to the Pacific Northwest next week, so I'll more than likely do a video. I'll do a video heading up there, actually. It's going to be a good time. I'll be able to talk to you guys about a lot more stuff. So, yeah, outside of that, make it great, guys. Good seeing you all again, and thank you for your patience. God bless. Cheers.